And welcome everyone to the fourth week of Changing Your Mind About Stress, our meditation series. And thank you for making the commitment to be here for 4 weeks in a row. That tells me something about your courage, your interest in self-care, and those are great qualities. So thank you for being here. My name is Nancy Steck. I'm with the New Jersey Lawyers Assistance Program, and we provide free and confidential help to lawyers, judges, law students, and law graduates. We've been doing that for 26 years. And we also provide programs such as this. And we're pleased to bring this program to you with several partners that have been wonderful to work with, such as the Assistant Prosecutors Association of New Jersey is a co-sponsor, the Young Lawyers Division of the Bar Association is a co-sponsor, as well as the Special Committee on Lawyer Wellbeing of the Bar Association, and also the Public Defender's Office of New Jersey. And as a representative of that office, Jessica Lyons, who is a public defender in Mercer County, is going to say a few words and introduce our speaker. At the end, as you know, we will answer Q&A questions, and if you can put those in the Q&A section, not the chat section. Also, we are recording this. It is available on YouTube, as the prior 3 weeks are also available on YouTube, and Noreen will be posting a link to that. And there are several links that can be found. If you're determined enough, you'll find it. Anyway, without further ado, Jessica Lyons. And Jessica, thank you again for participating and being here today.
Thank you, Nancy. Good afternoon. I am grateful for the opportunity to be part of today's program. Changing your mind about stress is an important topic, both in work life and personal life. And I am pleased to introduce our speaker today, Susan Wilk, founder of Focus Mind Dynamics and No Place Like Home, a practicing attorney for over 20 years. Susan has brought her legal and business background and expertise in teaching stress management and meditation, which makes her uniquely qualified to help her clients with dealing with pressures in the legal profession. Clients have found relief from workplace, personal, and academic stress, as well as other medical conditions such as hypertension, anxiety, panic attacks, insomnia, eating disorders, even chronic pain. Finding new ways to approach and deal with daily and extraordinary challenges in both their professional and personal lives. Susan has certifications in meditation training, has been teaching meditation and stress management for over 15 years to people of all ages and from all walks of life. Her clients have found relief from workplace and academic stress, dealing with all these medical issues and finding these different ways to approach and change your mind about stress. This topic is uniquely important to me, as meditation, I think, is a very important way, and I'm curious and very happy to be part of week 4 in dealing with living from your highest potential, specifically perfection not being required. I think that's an important topic that we all need to focus on. And with that, I will turn it over to Susan Wilk for this afternoon's presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you to week 4 of Changing Your Mind About Stress, and I thank you for being here and in the prior weeks. As Jessica mentioned, we're going to be talking about living from your highest potential and focusing on how we can eliminate our ideas of perfection and that perfection's required. One of the things I thought about when I chose this picture for the welcome screen was that how stress can sometimes blind us to the life and the world around us. And if you were really stressed out and stood on this hill looking out over this beautiful double rainbow, you may not even see it. You might notice it kind of off in the distance, but our minds could be preoccupied about stress. So this is part of the reason we want to work on living from our highest potential. Meditation is something that naturally connects us with our highest potential. It's kind of a natural outgrowth of meditation over time. And you could think, what does living from our highest potential have to do with stress? Well, part of that comes from the fact that it connects us with our authentic self, with who we really are. And this reminded me also of a quote from Shakespeare, from Hamlet. "This above all things, to thine own self be true, and then it must follow, as the night the day, that thou canst not then be false to any man. So I think at the end of the day, if we're really true to ourselves, I think we can rest, we sleep better, knowing that we gave our all as our real selves. So to begin, I'd like to do an intention setting and a little visualization to relax our bodies and our minds. So I'd like you to close your eyes. And again, if you have any physical limitations that makes it hard for you to close your eyes, you can either keep your eyes on the screen or choose a fixed point that's high enough that you would gently elevate your gaze. So if you can, close your eyes and set your intention to consciously release any demands that you have for the rest of the day, or you had earlier this day, any frustration, any churning thoughts, any anxieties or worries. Just try to set those aside for the time that we're together here. Let's begin by doing a gentle breathing exercise. We'll begin with measured breathing. And again, as I've been reminding you to do, when we do breathing, breathe with your belly so that it's a more relaxed breath, actually bringing more oxygen into our lungs and triggering that wonderful relaxation response in the brain. So just take a couple slow, deep breaths, keeping your attention at the tip of your nose. And I will keep count for you. We'll inhale to a count, hold our breath for a few seconds, and then exhale to that same count. Now again, if you have any limitations, please modify appropriately. If the count is too long, just release it. So gently exhale as deeply as you can. And we'll begin. Inhale. Hold your breath. And exhale. Inhale. Hold your breath. And exhale. Inhale. Hold your breath. And exhale. Inhale. Hold. And exhale. And now just do a couple rounds of that on your own. Again, remembering to breathe from your belly, bringing the lungs, like bringing the air into the base of your lungs first, and then gently up. And exhaling in reverse. Now gently let go of the breathing technique and let your breathing go back to normal. And gently bring your attention to the point between your eyebrows. I'd like you to visualize that you're on a beautiful beach all by yourself. It's quiet, it's peaceful. And the only sound is the sound of the waves coming in and gently rolling out. Visualize yourself going down to the edge of the water and laying down on the sand so that your feet are in the water. The waves are very gentle, as if it's low tide. The water temperature is perfect. And as the wave comes up to cover your feet and your ankles, consciously release any tension that you have in your feet, in your ankles. And as the water goes out, release that tension into the wave. And as the next wave comes up to your calves, consciously release any tension into the water, relaxing your muscles and visualizing that tension washed away. And with the next wave, the water comes under your thighs. And again, consciously release the tension and allow it to be washed away. Now the water comes under your lower back. And again, release the tension. Feeling refreshed and renewed as the water washes against you and returns to the sea. Now the water comes up under your shoulders to the base of your skull. And release not only all the tension we hold in our neck and our shoulders, but consciously release any thoughts, any worries that you may still hold on to. And as that wave goes back to the sea, just feel a sense of peace and relaxation. Relax your arms and your hands, your entire body. Feel your breathing as slow and relaxed. Now gently bring your attention to the point between your eyebrows, gently elevating your gaze, being careful to avoid any eye strain. And listen to this affirmation and take it into your mind and your heart. I hold my thoughts up to the calmness within. In calmness, I receive inspiration from my higher self. I hold my thoughts up to the calmness within. In calmness, I receive inspiration from my higher self. I hold my thoughts up to the calmness within. In calmness, I receive inspiration from my higher self. Holding that calmness in your mind and your heart, take a few seconds, gently return your attention to the room, and when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Now, what I'd like to do is teach you an additional breathing technique. It's alternate nostril breathing. If any of you practice yoga, you may be familiar with it. I think it's one of the most effective ways to manage stress and quiet our minds when our minds are racing by using our breath. It's a little bit more complicated of a technique. I mean, it's not that difficult to do, but it requires a bit more attention. Part of that is because it involves a hand posture, a mudra. And what we're going to do, depending on whether you're right-handed or left-handed, you could do it either way, but use your dominant hand. And I don't know if you can see this, but we're going to fold down the index finger and the middle finger against the palm. Leave our thumb and our ring finger and pinky out. Now what we're going to do is, it's kind of the same technique, the same in breathing, inhaling to a count, holding our breath, and then exhaling. But this is done differently, and actually it might feel a little awkward. It's always a good thing if you can blow your nose before starting this if you have any kind of allergies or congestion to help it. We're going to close off one nostril, the left nostril, with the pinky and ring finger. And then we'll also use the thumb to close the right nostril. We'll hold them both closed when we're holding our breath. What we're going to do to begin is close your right nostril with your pinky and inhale through your left nostril. Close them, and I say pinch, but no pressure really, just enough to close your nostrils. Hold for a few seconds and then exhale through the right nostril. We'll repeat that several times just so you get the hang of it. As I said, this is an incredibly effective technique, and it's meant to be practiced for a few minutes. And there have been many times when I felt like my mind was just racing. Like, as a friend of mine says, the washing machine of life has the agitator on heavy duty. And this is something that really works well. But it does take a few minutes sometimes to kick in because our minds can just be going round and round and round with that washing machine agitator of life. And there have been times when I've done it and I thought, this is just not working. I can't believe it's not working. And then all of a sudden, boom, it kicks in and it's really great. So again, I'd like you to close your eyes so you can focus on it. And I won't do it with you so you can hear me clearly. And again, what we're going to start with, and again, if you're left-handed, you can do it in reverse. You'll have your thumb against your left nostril instead of your pinky and ring finger, but we'll start by closing off the right nostril. And just exhale deeply and begin inhaling slowly through the left nostril. Close both, hold your breath, and exhale. Release the fingers on the right nostril and exhale through the right side of your nose. Then again, close the right side and inhale through the left. Close both sides and exhale through the right. Close the right. Inhale through the left. Close both. Hold your breath. And exhale through the right. Close the right and inhale through the left. Close both and hold your breath. And exhale through the right. And one last time, inhale through the left. Close both and hold your breath. And exhale through the right. Keep your eyes closed and allow your breathing to go back to normal. And just observe whether or not your mind feels any calmer after that. I appreciate that we did it right after a visualization to relax, but see if you feel any difference. And again, this is not the most inconspicuous breathing technique, but it is, as I said, it's incredibly, I found it to be incredibly effective for calming down a racing mind, calming down any kind of anxious feeling. So I would encourage you to practice it just to get more comfortable with it. If it's new to you, get comfortable with the hand mudra and the idea of holding your nose. So again, I hope it's something that works for you. And this again is in addition to measured breathing, which we just did, and the diaphragmatic breathing, which we practiced last week, which again is when we essentially, it's also called conscious breathing, where we bring air into the bottom of our lungs first, and then gradually up to the upper lungs, which we can feel beneath the collarbone, and releasing in reverse. And that's also a very effective way to relax the mind and the body. Then those two are a little bit less obvious, less conspicuous, so they're easier to practice anywhere, everywhere, whenever you feel stressed without calling attention to yourself. So talking about reaching our highest potential, I came across this quote from Paulo Coelho that maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything, but unbecoming everything that isn't really you, so you can be who you were meant to be in the first place. And I'm not so sure about the part about not becoming anything, but it's certainly true that we need to unlearn some things, especially as lawyers. You know, as Jessica mentioned, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was perfectionism. You know, we really think that we're supposed to be perfect and control things. Clients come to us and they have problems. Either they have existing problems, we want to make them go away. They want us to make them go away, or they have a fear of a problem happening and they want us to prevent against it, protect against it, or right or wrong. So there are all these things, and we want to be perfect. But it's really an unreasonable expectation because no one is perfect. And we can direct so much energy and focus and attention in trying to be perfect. But what they found is that people who really try to be perfect end up having a higher rate of depression. Their work quality suffers because, of course, it's an unreasonable expectation. You know, we're human and we make mistakes. So we need to learn how to deal with that, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But it's, again, just being mindful of the fact that it's just putting so much pressure on ourselves to try to be perfect. And we really need to cut ourselves a little bit of slack. I mean, yes, you know, we have to come to our work with all the effort and all the knowledge and the judgment, our best judgment, everything we can put into it. But we can't expect ourselves to be perfect. Again, there's a higher rate of depression and reduces work quality. There's a lot of more job dissatisfaction. And it actually causes defensiveness in a lot of people because they feel as if they failed, so they're on the defensive. So it's really not a good thing to do. We also think that we should be able to handle all the stress that comes with the legal profession. But again, that's an unrealistic expectation. We're human. And we need to take care of ourselves. We need to invest in self-care. We need to take the time to be with people who are supportive. The things that we went into in week 1, that, you know, just trying to laugh, taking time out, making leisure time, balancing our lives with work and family and leisure. We cannot function with just work. We're not superhuman, we're human. We also, you know, I talked about this last week, the idea of non-attachment and resistance. I mean, again, we bring everything we can to our jobs, all our knowledge, all our experience, our best judgment, but we can't control everything. We don't have control over the outcome. And we need to just do our best and then release the outcome. And if it comes against us, then, we did our best. No one could ask more of us than that. And things just don't always go in our favor. It's just, unfortunately, this part of life. But again, being attached to the results is something we should unlearn with perfection and with that idea that we should be able to handle anything. We also have a belief, some of us, that there's an attribute in being hostile to people and causing personality conflicts and personal conflicts. And that's something that I think is, I know I've seen that in lawyers that I've dealt with on the other side of the fence, wherever, all through my career. Yet some people just seem to think that it makes them a better lawyer. And it really doesn't. It doesn't have anything to do with being a lawyer. I mean, yes, we have to, ask questions. If you're in litigation, if you're in court, you have to ask tough questions, but that's different than being hostile. So I think that's something we need to examine, because being like that takes a toll on us personally. And that's not what we should be about. We should be about taking care of ourselves so that we can bring our best to what we have to offer this profession and our clients and the world. The other thing I think we should unlearn is equating income and long hours with success. They've done studies and found that higher income after a certain point doesn't bring us happiness, and it doesn't make us feel more successful. After our basic needs are met, there's no real benefit in terms of happiness and our sense of well-being and sense of self-worth that comes from a higher income past that point. So again, these are things, we can think about. And one of the things I'd like to say is that, coming from our highest potential and trying to figure out who we are from that point, it's not something that can happen overnight. It's something that we need to work on day after day. And I think our higher potential is always evolving all through our lives. No matter what stage of our career we're at, there's always something that relates to that. So let's talk a little bit about our highest potential. The first thing I would say to you, and I'd like to say to you, is that it's already in you. You don't have to create it. It's there. It's just a matter of reconnecting with it. And this is where meditation comes in as such a wonderful ally, and that it connects us with that higher consciousness. We've been talking for the past 3 weeks about raising your attention to this point between the eyebrows, which for thousands of years has been regarded as the seat of highest consciousness. And what science has figured out most recently is that focusing there actually stimulates, and meditation stimulates the prefrontal lobes, which is responsible for our cognitive abilities. It suppresses emotions. It helps us with our sense of social well-being. It helps our sense of humor. It helps our memories. It helps so many things. It helps our sense of compassion. Meditation will expand our compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves. And I think statistically, the studies they've done on the legal profession and how hard it can be on people really bears out the need for self-compassion. Your highest potential is you at your best. It honors your values and expresses your capabilities and your gifts. So values such as character, coming to your job and your life with a sense of integrity, with a sense of trustworthiness, with a sense of responsibility, with a sense of courage, and being able to express your capabilities. Sometimes they're considered the soft skills in your resume, your ability to spot issues, your ability to be solution-oriented, your gifts of compassion, your gifts of optimism. All these things are brought out when we connect with our highest potential. And again, it doesn't demand perfection. It accepts the fact that we make mistakes, and very often our mistakes are the things that teach us the most. So our highest potential actually is part of us that strives for growth. that constant learning. And again, that's a lifelong process. We don't hit a point where we stop learning. I hope not. I knew someone who was in his 40s and he said, this is it, he just didn't want to learn anything else. Had no desire to explore anything else. That was it. And I felt bad for him because he was missing out on so much. But again, to recognize that we're not perfect, learn our lessons and then strive for the growth. Our highest potential never identifies itself with errors or mistakes or our limitations. Again, those are all part of being human. We make mistakes. And there's, I think I quoted it last week, Yogananda, who was the person who brought meditation and yoga to the West 100 years ago, said that in the fields, if I remember it correctly, in the fields of failure, it's the best time and the most fertile ground to sow the seeds of success. So it's learning from things that go wrong, learning from mistakes, learning from errors. We never try to make a mistake, but they happen. Sometimes we don't have all the information and we learn what to look for next time. And again, not to identify yourself. And your highest potential won't let you identify yourself with errors. It includes self-acceptance, and that goes along with things I've been saying. It accepts us for our strengths as well as our weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses, everyone has strengths. So we learn how to leverage them. We learn how to work with our weaknesses. We learn how to express our strengths. Our highest potential also finds a transcendent purpose to our work. There's a reason that we're in this profession, and there's so much good we can do in it. Brian mentioned this in the first session, that the legal profession is a noble profession, and I truly believe that. So it's finding something, we're contributing to the good of the world. And sometimes we're not going to change the world with what we do, but we can change the world for one person. And there's that wonderful definition of success, that if even one person, if one life on this earth has breathed easier because you were here, that is success. And it is. It really is. So in those times when you might be feeling bad, remember the gratefulness in someone's eyes when you've done something for them. Whether it's professionally or personally, hold on to that. You've made a difference, and you'll make a difference again. And your highest potential does not require a supreme effort, but it takes the opportunities to be our best. You don't have to exhaust yourself. You don't want to burn out. And burnout's a very real and serious issue. And if you feel that you're burned out, I ask you to please reach out for help. The Lawyer's Assistance Program is wonderful. And just reach out for help, because burnout is a very real thing. I experienced it myself. I know what it's like. It's very uncomfortable. And you need someone to help you through that, so that you make the best decisions for yourself at the time. Our highest potential reframes situations in our lives. As lawyers, we're trained to look at a situation, sometimes, look for the worst thing that can happen. And over time, that can color the way we look at things. And I remember having to do that in my job as in-house counsel when I was working on contracts, always trying to think of what could go wrong, or with installations, or, we were working in all kinds of different buildings, and, what would happen if something went wrong. And that is something we do need to do. We are the watchdogs in a lot of situations, and yet our highest potential can reframe that, so we're not in a negative frame of mind. We can be optimistic about, yes, this is what could go wrong, but this is what we can do about it. And we will do that about it. We'll take care of it. We'll head it off at the pass. So our highest potential helps us with that. It also helps us be more fully present and pay attention in greater detail to our jobs. And being present allows us to be more focused, be more accurate, to listen better, to take in everything around us, take in all the circumstances. And being mindful, I read a quote not too long ago by Thich Nhat Hanh that I thought was pretty interesting. And he said that he washes a teapot with the same care that he would use if he was washing and giving a bath to baby Buddha or baby Jesus. And it's that kind of care, that being present, that focusing on what we're doing, that we can bring with our highest potential without making ourselves crazy. Your highest potential disregards your inner critic and becomes your best friend. And this is something I mentioned last week, that inner critic can really be nasty. And that again goes back to perfectionism and not accepting the fact that we make mistakes, not intentionally, but things happen and we can make mistakes. And sometimes when that inner committee of negativity meets, sometimes you just have to tell them to just sit down and shut up and move on and be your own best friend. And again, learn from mistakes. It's a learning process. We go back to striving for growth, striving for learning. That's all part of our experience. And one of the final things I'd like to mention, and these are just a couple, this is kind of scratching the surface on your highest potential, but it involves your heart as much as your head. Our heart feels so much, and our intuition is really based more in the heart than in the head. The head is our intellect, but the intuition is something that's developed with meditation also and can be really important. It's that gut feel that we have. And when it comes to us, it comes with a quiet voice. It doesn't come yelling or screaming. That's not the intuition. That's not the heart speaking. That's the intellect. That's excitement. That's agitation. So when we listen to our hearts, when we have an issue, we can sit in meditation and ask a question. As the affirmation said, in calmness, you give your thoughts to your higher self. And in calmness, you get inspiration. So we want to involve our hearts as much as our heads. Now, this is a quote from the great J.K. Rowling. And I just thought I'd put this in here because some of us I know are going through very tough times. And I was thinking about lawyers who may be in transition right now, because I know transition can be a very bumpy time. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the life of J.K. Rowling and her biography, she initially was a secretary, and she said she was the worst secretary ever because she was so disorganized. So she stopped her work at that. I can't remember whether she lost her job or just stopped, but she couldn't find a job. She was a single mom. She was on welfare for a long time. And it was around that time she started thinking about the Harry Potter books. The idea came to her while she was on a train. And she started writing, and she would go to a cafe and write. She would take one of her children, small children, and write. And as I said, she struggled a great deal with depression. And if you're familiar with the Harry Potter books and the movies, she modeled the Dementors on her struggle with depression. And if you're not familiar with the movies, just the term Dementors can give you an idea of how much she struggled with it. And even after she became famous and her books and the movies were a success, she struggled with depression with the onset of all this unexpected fame and all the attention that was placed on her. So she's really been through a lot. And this quote of hers, that rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. So I think if we take that and transform that into hope, there's never give up, never give up. Rock bottom, sometimes life brings us to our knees, and then we start to reformulate. We start to reach into our hearts and our minds and find our highest potential. Because as I said, it's there within us. It doesn't leave us. We just need to reconnect with it. So part of what we can do also to identify ourselves as a possibility, as a way to connect with our higher potential. And I love this quote because I think this can fit a bunch of us also. Now I become myself. It's taken time, many years and places. I have been dissolved and shaken and worn other people's faces. And that again, that could be, wearing other people's faces could be construed to mean our perfectionism. Other people expect us to be perfect. Other people expect us to have control over things that we don't have control over. We try to be what other people would like us to be. And the truth is, we really need to, for our own selves, for our own mental, emotional, physical health, and for the people around us who love us, we really need to reach that place of higher potential and take good care of ourselves. So in considering this and in considering our higher potential, I like to say to ask not just what can I do in a situation, but who can I be in this situation? Particularly if it's a tough situation and there could be emotions involved or a lot at stake. Who do we want to be in that situation? We want to bring empathy to it. We need to bring wisdom to it, our best judgment, our integrity, our honesty. None of this is meant to be forbidding. It's not meant to be overpowering. Again, this is something that's within us, and it does not demand perfection. It's an evolution. And it doesn't require us to change our lives. I mean, some people may want to. They may want a change or to move or to change careers, but for most of us, it's just kind of a shift within. It's connecting with who can we be? Sometimes we just have to sit with this question, and the answer may not come right away. It may take time. I remember when I was in transition years ago, I lost my job during the Great Recession. And I was in line in the West Trenton post office. And a song came on through the sound system, it was piped in. And the lyrics of it it was like everybody else disappeared online. And I heard the lyrics of that song that went right to my heart and my soul. And they were really the answer to questions. So, and that kind of thing can happen to you. It can happen, maybe it will happen when you're sitting in meditation. It might happen right away. It could happen in a crazy situation like being online in the post office, social distancing, of course. But, it could be anything. It could be something on TV, a book you read, a magazine you open, something you come across by accident, or it's divine synchronicity of life. I don't know that there are such things as accidents. But to visualize ourselves as a possibility. And if it does take you in a new direction, think of how you can explore that. And I don't know how possible volunteering now is, or interning, or maybe I don't know how much can be done online or in this new world that we're in for at least the foreseeable future. But I would suggest to you that perhaps over the weekend, just take a little while and think about identifying yourself as a possibility. Even if it sounds a little crazy, just sit with that question. How can I identify myself as a possibility in this world? And you might be surprised at how easily an answer to that question comes. And again, remember that meditation is something that quiets our minds, opens our hearts, and develops our intuition, develops that gut feel, helps us connect with that and listen to it. And now I'd like to lead you in a visualization. So I'd like you to sit up straight with your back either away from the back of the chair or scoot back as far as you can so that your back is straight. If you need some kind of back support, like a small pillow, perhaps you have that. Put your feet flat on the floor. Have your hands palms up at the juncture of your legs and your abdomen. Your shoulders back so that your heart is open. Very gently tuck your shoulder blades together. Again, being mindful of any discomfort or any physical limitations you have, modify as necessary. The key is, as best you can, to sit with your back straight. A large part of that is the yogic tradition of meditation, because we want to raise our consciousness to the point between the eyebrows. We want to raise our energy up to the superconscious, to the higher consciousness. And you can't do that when you're slumped over. You just can't, you're more down in the subconscious. We want to elevate. And also, on a more practical view, if your back is straight, it's actually more comfortable to sit still. Because again, we kind of want to dump the body for a few minutes. So have your back straight, your chin parallel with the floor. Relax your lower jaw because we hold a lot of tension in the jaw. Close your eyes. Relax the muscles around your eyes. And we'll begin. We'll just do a couple of rounds of measured breathing, just to get your breathing relaxed again. So again, keep your chest open. And we'll begin. Inhale. Hold your breath. And exhale. Inhale. Hold your breath. And exhale. And inhale. Hold your breath. And exhale. Allow your breathing to return to normal. And gently raise your attention, keeping your eyes closed. Raise your attention to the point between your eyebrows. Behind your closed eyelids, your gaze should be gently elevated, as if looking at a mountain above the horizon. Again, avoid any eye strain. And keep your attention focused there. I'd like you to gently go behind and beyond the darkness of your closed eyelids. And see yourself 5 years from now. Just don't resist anything that you see. And just notice where you are, what you're doing, your surroundings, how you feel, who is present with you. If your attention wanders, gently bring it back to the point between your eyebrows. Now I would like you to visualize yourself 3 years from now. So 2 years before the scene you just visualized. And ask yourself what happened between years 3 and 5. What action did you take? What changed? Now I'd like you to bring your attention, still with your eyes closed, focused at the point between the eyebrows, to the present time. Look at the possibilities of what you saw and ask yourself in calmness, offer your thoughts up and ask your higher self for the inspiration as to what actions you need to take from here. What actions would you like to take from here? Again, ask your higher self for the inspiration. Even if it doesn't come to you at this moment, trust that your higher self is at work to give you that inspiration, to give you that help, to give you those answers. Keep asking. In calmness, the answers will come. And now, keeping your eyes closed, I'd like you to place your attention at your heart. Tap into a sense of calmness and peace that is always there, your true nature. And if you can, if you'd like to, visualize a soft white light, symbolizing this sense of peace and calmness, and expand it so that it fills your entire body. and expand it out to fill the room that you are in, the entire building that you're in. Expand it to touch your friends, your family, expanding out into your community. See it joining with the calmness and the light of everyone who is participating today, everyone here. And see that peace spreading north and south and east and west, touching every person as it spreads around the globe, spreading to Europe and Asia and Africa, Australia, the North and South Poles, touching every living thing on the planet, gifting them with the sense of peace. Release that and bring your attention, still with your eyes closed, back to your body. I'd like you to listen to this. This is my wish for each of you. May the light of your soul guide you. May the light of your soul bless the work you do with the secret love and the warmth of your heart. May you see in what you do the beauty of your own soul. Very gently return your attention to the room, and when you're ready, gently open your eyes. I'd be curious if any of you would like to let me know how that was for you, either in the chat box or if I'll put up my contact information or let Nancy know. But I hope that it was helpful to you. And for those of you who may not be joining us next week for Q&A, actually what I'm hoping to do is if we have enough time to do a longer meditation. But what I would like to ask you to do is to continue meditating every day to the extent you have been already, or if you haven't, no worries. Just try to start with 5 minutes a day or a few minutes a day. Just start with the breathing exercises if that is where you'd like to start. You could do the mantra meditation that we learned, where you just take a quality. You could just say I on the inhalation and am peace on the exhalation. Just repeat that or find a mantra that works for you. Try to meditate first thing in the morning before checking any emails or phones or texts or listening to the news, or just try to relax as best you can. And try to meditate. Even if you meditate in bed in the morning, just sit up straight and try to fit in a few minutes. It will change the character of your day. And also, if you do find that your mind wanders while you're meditating, just make a mental note of whether or not your attention was deviating from the point between your eyebrows. Chances are it was, so that might be a reinforcement for you for keeping your attention at the point between your eyebrows while you're meditating. So again, I thank you so much for being part of this session. I hope that I have helped you. And here's the quote that I just read, and I'd like to end as Brian started by saying that ours is a very noble profession, and I wish you all the best And if I can be of service in any way, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to help you with private lessons or workshops or whatever I can do to assist. So thank you.
Thank you, Susan. We have some comments, not questions yet, but we do have time for some questions. A thank you so much for your continued guidance. You've been a great help to me. And many thanks for all you gave me in these 3 sessions. Love from Chile. Thanks for coming all this way.
Yes, thank you.
Again, just a reminder, we will be having an additional Q&A session next week, next Wednesday. You should have gotten information about it already. There'll be another reminder that will go out. So please practice, as Susan said, and bring your questions. If you have some concerns, if you want some, a little more quote unquote personalized guidance, that's what we're, hoping to provide next week. A little more direct interaction and addressing what you need to know and need some direction on. Any other questions or comments coming in for today? Please also remember that these are available on YouTube, and please feel free to let any colleagues know, family members, whoever you think might benefit from watching these and going through this process. You may benefit from going through the process again. I know that I have, so I'm glad that they're there. And since there aren't any questions this evening, thank you again, Susan. It's been an inspiring 4 weeks. It's certainly something that is helpful to all of us, and particularly in the legal profession. There's a great need for self-care and focusing on our needs when we spend so much time focused on other people's needs. So thank you for that reminder and for some skills and techniques to maybe tweak our path a little bit to the left and spend some time putting energy back into our own lives.
Yes, it's been an honor. It's been an honor.
Thank you all for coming, and we will see you next week. Have a great weekend and a great evening. Thank you.